Well, today on Confessions at the Cabana, I was joined by Brandon Jenner. And Brandon Jenner is the son of Caitlyn Jenner. He is the brother of Brody Jenner and the stepson of the famous music producer David Foster. He is also the son of the fabulous Linda Thompson. Well, he comes from this incredibly famous background, but he has etched out an incredibly wonderful life for himself. He's a great father, a devoted husband, and an absolutely magical and talented musical artist, writing incredibly soulful songs about the world around him. Well, Brendan opened up and we had lots to talk about, from the black hole in the universe to being a father. And he even opened up about the moment when his father told him he wanted to transition into being a woman. This is a great episode, so watch it, share, and enjoy Brandon's amazing story. And remember, subscribe to Confessions at the Cabana. My name is Zoe Scott, and this is my podcast, Confessions at the Cabana. I was born in England, and I chased my dreams across the ocean, landing in America, and then driving all the way to California to live my rock and roll life. I've journeyed from living in the wild to lighting up the stages all around Los Angeles, and I've got plenty of stories to share. But this podcast isn't about me. It's about creating space for others to share their stories, stories that inspire, stories that bring us together, and stories that heal. So come join us here in Malibu at the Cabana. I'm so excited and happy to be here with Brandon Jenner, who's a wonderful, wonderful, deep, soulful, creative singer-songwriter and producer, and a Renaissance man, a wonderful man, a family man, a dad, a husband, and just a really, I consider you're such a soulful, magical, wonderful artist. It's really a pleasure to sit here with you.
Nice of you to say.
And
appreciate all those things that you just said. There's a lot of people that need my attention, is what you're saying, like in my life, my kids, my wife.
Yeah, no,
my
thanks
parents.
for taking some time out.
No,
how do you
no,
balance all that?
It's not easy. Yeah.
It's not
it takes
easy.
a toll.
It does, huh?
It does.
Wow.
Yeah. It's tiring.
So that's the main toll. It's tiring.
No, I would say the main toll is just having your attention being distracted all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
But
living in a state of reaction rather than being proactive, right? It's like there's something that's very peaceful about being proactive about what your next step is.
Mm-hmm.
But my world is so reactive.
Okay, well, thank you very much for spending some time here.
No. I wanted to do this.
So when
you're lovely.
Thank you.
I knew that this would be fun.
You seem so like emotionally in tune, mature, and sort of just from your songwriting and the interviews I've seen. Have you just done a lot of self-healing and self-growth, or was this state natural? Or
I would say a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
My parents they used to make fun of me. They would do it in more of a teasing way of me being, I used to be called Gal Guy because I was super into astronomy and cosmology, and so they would make fun of me like that. They also called me Gandhi or granola and twigs.
Oh, wow. So it's all, you've always had this sort of lovely.
I think, lovely, just a little bit more. I think that for some reason, I don't know why, but I've always just kind of tried to see the bigger picture in things.
Mm-hmm.
It's always, I've always been drawn to the macro perspective rather than just kind of get drawn into little small things. So, some of it maybe is just nature, just demeanor, right? I mean, both kids, they're just different. They turn out different, right? Some are a little more calm than others. My life's work is self-work, is figuring out how to be a little bit better every day. And I'd fail. I fall flat on my face all the time, consistently.
I think it really comes across. I thought about saying something quite funny at the top of this interview, but
Call me Gal Guy?
With the blessings of your beautiful, beautiful wife. I don't know if she would be okay with me saying this, but I'm going to say it. You're very handsome. You're incredibly talented, and you're you're very emotionally articulate. And I think that's what all the women of the world are looking for.
And now I'm nervous. I just got nervous. I was good for a little
Kaylee,
while.
I hope that's okay that we said that. But, I get that through your songs and through your interviews and the way you relate to people.
I'm going to make her watch just that one part, just so you know.
Right.
She's, baby, you got to sit down and watch this.
Okay. But so you've worked a lot on yourself.
Yeah.
What kind of things have you done have you done therapy over the years? Have you done?
I have. Yeah, I do like group therapy. I've been doing that for a long time.
Is that
now.
a male group or is it mixed? Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about that because you have the woman on top thing,
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities for different demographics to kind of get together and just to say like, we're going to stick to our demographic and do this. And there's not a lot of that around men,
Yeah.
But I've been doing
Then maybe that needs
for
to
a
be.
long
Maybe you
time.
need to host that show.
Yeah, true.
That's
a good
You're
point.
welcome at the Cabana anytime.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah. You think men need more time to talk, support each other,
For
and kind of
sure.
process everything?
Well, you go out to dinner with your girlfriends. It's like there's no filter. You can just kind of say what you want. You can be yourself, and
do.
they accept you for that.
I've been
right?
out to dinner with your mum as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. And the same thing goes with men, but to do it in a setting where it's not just kind of like broing out, but to be like, hey, let's dig a little deeper into that is a great opportunity. So that's been huge for me, is to kind of do.
Because men have an incredible amount on their shoulders, don't they? If they're fathers, they're providers, they're husbands. I think, I don't know. I think you're really right. Women have a lot of chance to sort of offload a lot of their feelings with each other, and there's not such a stigma for a woman to go, I don't think so, to therapy or.
True. I would definitely push back and say that women carry a lot on their shoulders too. When you're a mom and you got kids and all that stuff. I think women are like kind of a little bit more predisposed to being able to deal with it better. I think men, generally speaking, their role would be a little bit more removed and a little bit more kind of among the guys. And hey, we'll be gone for a few days, going and hunting and doing whatever we're doing, and then we'll come back. And their role would be a little bit different. I think that there's this big experiment that we're running right now where we used to kind of live in, I don't know exactly the numbers, but it was like tribes of like 100 to 400, something like that. It was like kind of like the right amount of groups, the size of the group. And, now we're just like, we slice up properties and build a home on it. And we isolate mom and dad with their kids.
It's terrible,
and a lot of
isn't
times
it?
grandparents aren't around and they're having kids later, which is fine. But, normally we would have been having kids a lot younger, which means that the grandparents were really the ones day to day hanging with the kids, teaching them, while the parents are still, their roles are still very active, very reliant on their able bodies. So they're the ones that are working and doing that. So it's a real big experiment that we're running
I
on
heard you
human
talking
beings.
about that in one interview. How are you creating a tribe around your family? And
We try as much as we can. I mean, we're working out. Exercise is a big one. So like meeting up with people to work out with
that's
is
wonderful.
huge. I mean, like I do that generally 6 days a week if I
actually, that's my
I
tribe
can.
because I
Yeah?
work out in a pool
Yeah.
with surfers under
Oh,
the
amazing.
water.
Oh, great.
And
With Jeff.
Yeah, with Jeff Laux.
Yeah. I love Jeff.
I've been doing it for about 2 years, and they really have become very much like extended family to me.
Yeah.
So it changed my life up here on the hill because it can get quite lonely in these big properties.
Yeah.
So
It is. It's lonely. It's very unnatural, isn't
Yeah.
it? I mean, we really would be like, I think about it with, parents even, right? So like, sometimes like I have these amazing in-laws, right? And we like live separate from
Colourful.
them, right? Yeah, it's like, and everybody like I do, it's like there's only so much that like you can handle of your parents sometimes, You're just like, great, it's good to be with them. But if we were in a tribe, it's like you'd be forced to like sit down and figure those things out. You'd be
Yeah.
forced to like, the community would come together and the elders and be like, hey, we got to figure out how to coexist here. Like, let's work through these things. But
right.
instead, like, because of the world we live in, we can just physically isolate
Go away, yeah.
and not process and not kind of work through things that would be really beneficial for both
Like
parties.
for anybody who doesn't know what processing is, I've done lots of processing in my life. I've been in therapy for the last 3 years. I had a life coach for 5 years before that. What could you tell them about processing? What is processing? You said in one of your interviews you use your music a lot to process feelings and emotions.
Yeah,
And
it's a good. Never been asked that. It's a good question. think that, when you do therapy or when you study to become a therapist, a lot of the best ones, they listen, right? They just sit and listen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think processing a lot of the time is just expressing yourself, like figuring out how to just dig a little bit deeper, uncover a little bit more, and find the root of whatever it is that you're kind of dealing with.
As
right?
opposed to it building up and exploding.
Yeah, or
needing to take
medicating yourself in different ways, whether it be your phone or alcohol or whatever. It's like people, or prescription pills, or there's the medicine comes in so many forms, food, shopping, yeah, anything to distract ourselves from the
so many different addictions, right?
Yeah, and we live in this world, right, where like we have like these tiny little dopamine loops, right, where it's like it's so easy for us to just, when we're feeling uncomfortable, to get up and open the fridge, or to get up or to grab your phone and unknowingly open up Instagram or YouTube or whatever. We just live in these tiny little dopamine loops, which keep us very, very distracted. And keep us from really processing or sitting with the uncomfortable. Food is a great way to like make yourself a little bit uncomfortable, but a lot of growth comes from it. The ability to be able to fast.
I'm a bit of a comfort eater.
That's okay. But fasting is like one of those things that, the first couple times you do it, you're like, oh, wow, I'm okay. Like I can push through that feeling of feeling hungry and just drink some water and kind of get on the other side of it and go, wow, that was like a paper tiger. Like it was a false feeling of I'm going to die if I don't eat something, right? Or I'm going to faint, or I'm going to do whatever. And it's like, that's really not the case at all. Like you're totally well positioned at any time to just be like, I'm going to stop eating for a day or 12 hours or whatever, right? Or 3 days. And there's something that's really empowering about that.
Was there ever a period where you weren't comfortable to sit with your feelings, and you would go for one of the above?
Always. That's what I mean about falling flat on my face every day. Like every day I use my phone as like a way to just kind of keep myself distracted. I go to the refrigerator when I'm just also in the same way that you would use your phone. I fall flat on my face all the time. So I would say that generally speaking, I fall somewhere in the better than average on the spectrum of like how bad I use it, but I'm still working on it. It's something that I need to work on every day,
Yeah, I think back in my rock and roll years, I sung rock for about 13 years. I think I was never into the drugs or the drinking, because my dad, he drank enough for everybody. So I was I was very scared of that. Although I loved Jim Morrison, who, also drank, and loved his music and his songs, but mine was speed. I threw myself into too much too quickly all the time. And
not actual speed, just
no,
speed.
Not drugs.
Okay.
I've always been terrified of drugs. So I'm very clean living in that way, but I just, the rock and roll lifestyle and going to the Chateau Montmartre and meeting people and throwing parties, and writing songs. I really had to learn to pace. That was the big thing, one of my big lessons in this life. I always think people have a few, big lessons, and mine has been to learn to pace. So yeah,
just moving too quickly, living on
and then
at a pace that's unsustainable.
Basically, it has to be sustainable. So let's talk about your music. You have this beautiful, passionate music. Where does all the inspiration for these lovely songs come from?
When I see people, I feel like I see them within a very empathetic lens.
Yes, you come across as a really empathetic
I love
person.
people.
Yeah, you obviously
and
love
I really
people.
believe that, we all of us, you, me, and Diana sitting in
Diana.
sitting in the other room, we don't fill out a form before we're born. We just find ourselves here on this planet, and we do the best we can with what we got.
Yeah.
And some of us are dealt really, really bad hands, bad or challenging hands. Some of us are dealt really good ones. I was dealt a really good one. Like, I'm so lucky. I'm so unbelievably lucky. That's a huge part of what like my daily practice is like just
gratitude.
Yeah. But it also has in my life, and especially when I was younger, it definitely almost felt like a weight, because I was like, why? Like, why was I born in Malibu, like, and living in this house? We had like this really opulent house when I was a kid. I was like,
so you felt some guilt. You had to process
maybe.
that.
Yeah, I still do probably, and to a certain degree for sure.
But don't you think there's this wonderful balance in the
Shame also,
Yeah.
like I've really, like there was a long time in my life where it was like I grew my beard really long, my hair really long. I just wore sweatpants and like oversized clothes because I just didn't want to be that person that people would expect that I would be.
Which
entitled.
Would be, okay.
Entitled, I think. And that's the thing that maybe also because of my circumstance, I've also kind of fought back against the feelings of entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the songwriting thing, I just think that like a lot of the songs that I write that mean the most to me have been because I've done the best I could to put myself in somebody else's shoes and just try to take a couple steps, you know? And that also is in turn is very therapeutic and beautiful. And I've, you know, talked a lot recently about how sometimes the line gets so blurry for me between what is labeled as tragedy and what is labeled as glorious or beautiful, right? Like some of the life's opportunities for growth are gifted to us in the ugliest packaging.
Yes.
Like, you know, the craziest thing can happen
I
where
know,
it
it
just
seems
draws
that
us
sometimes,
to our
right?
knees,
Yeah.
right? I mean, like what can be labeled as something that's like a tragedy, when you have a little bit more of that perspective on it, that macro approach, you see that there's also this opportunity in those times for such incredible beauty. I mean, it's like, you know, a recent song that I've been trying to write, like, is this song about this little girl that died when she was like 9 or something. A friend told me about it. I never met her. And she wanted to go fishing. That was one of her things. And so a friend took her out on the boat in Westlake right over here and went fishing, you know? And that's where some of the guilt comes in. This is like an interesting thing because like my life, like I've gone, you know, salmon fishing in Alaska and all these like, you know, marlin fishing, all these cool things just not because I even tried to do it or wanted to. It's just like these were the cards that I was dealt. You know, my parents brought me on really cool trips and did cool shit like that. So, and then this little girl, she just, you know, her fishing experience was going to Westlake, probably didn't catch anything, you know, and just throwing a rod in there. And for her, that was like enough. And there's so much tragedy in the fact that this like little girl before her life even really began in a way, is also like meeting its end. It's so tragic. And it's also just like so incredibly beautiful. The human spirit, the desire to do things like that, like the desire that she had to just want to experience something. And
that's beautiful.
yeah, and the kind of growth that I'm sure that it was like, you know, for her parents, like I can't imagine, you know, the incredible heartbreak that they will never get over and that they will constantly live with, but also the, you know, the amazing probably perspective in certain ways that it gave them. So, and that's what interests me, right? Is like that line between tragedy and beauty and trying to like feel both ends of the spectrum at the same time. So a lot of times when I'm writing songs where I'm trying to put myself in somebody else's shoes, it's like, you know, you feel the real tragic nature of it and then also just feel the real beautiful kind of counterpoint and try to write about that.
That's beautiful. Have you finished that song for the little girl? Got a guitar there. Not that one.
No, not really. I haven't been. I actually just did a gig recently. My mind is like fully. It was a Tom Petty and Johnny Cash cover band, and it was like 29 songs that I had a couple weeks to figure out. So like my brain.
Do you love those two artists? Are they big
They're
influences?
Great. Yeah. Johnny Cash especially. I mean, but now learning a bunch of the Tom Petty stuff, he was a great songwriter.
Really who were your greatest influences growing up in music?
Well, it'd be hard not to say that my stepdad was. Because he was a great producer.
How did he?
And he was a big influence. Well, his just like sheer talent. I mean, he was just so talented. You know, is just so talented. And I loved hanging in the studio and watching them work. And I was around through him. I was around some great musicians growing up. Like he had some of the best musicians that ever lived coming through the studio to track, not just the artists, but also the guys.
I'm getting chills. I'm like, wow, I would have died to be in those.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
greatest drummers, greatest bass players, greatest guitar players, keyboardists, all of them coming through, singers, to record, and it was so fun for me to just kind of go sit on the couch and just watch the process. So that was a huge influence for me, like how to record, how to really get great takes out of somebody, how to like push a musician to get the best out of them, like how to kind of direct them or produce them. that was a huge influence. But I've always just been inspired, whether it's music or not, by people that are living very unapologetically. They just are themselves, and they express themselves as themselves, and they're not really filtering their life's expression through the opinions of other people. It seems like it comes really naturally for people like Robin Williams, or there's a guy, Lee Scratch Perry, that I'm a huge fan of. He like produced the Bob Marley stuff from Jamaica.
In a way, that's a bit of the dare, isn't it? To express yourself unapologetically, however you feel.
Well, and it goes back to there's this, it's funny because I reference this all the time, but I don't even know which book it's from. It's either two. It's further the War of Art or The Artist's Way. But there's a page in there towards the end where the author says something that's so great. It's right at the end. And he basically is encouraging the reader to be an artist by figuring out what is unique about them and
that's so beautiful,
and doubling down on it and expressing yourself fully. And he said, it's not just doing it for you. It's you're doing it for the rest of the world, and me included, like the writer. He's like, do it for me. Please do this for me. Be the person that you are fully. Be an artist, express yourself, do those things. So the whole world benefits when we're able to get to that place where we can kind of like let our insecurities kind of go. We can hold ourselves fully and express ourselves. That's another daily practice thing, right?
Thank you very much, because that was.
And it doesn't come naturally to me. I don't think that's something that came naturally to me as
how did
when
you
I was
work
young.
on it? Because it's one of the questions I had, because I think that's something I've really struggled with as an artist. Like, you're so open and vulnerable in your songs. I left home at 18, and in a way, performing was survival. And I think I'm inclined to mask up when I write songs in a way. I love to entertain. And I'd love to have that ability, like you have, to actually sort of emotionally undress and kind of, take it somewhere very intimate and very vulnerable. Have you got any tips for me?
I don't know. I think that it's a hard thing to like teach, or
But you said you learned to do it a bit as a songwriter.
Yeah, I think that I know that when I hear about something that affects me in a certain way, or that makes me really emotional, or I think that it's really unfair or something, or I see somebody treated in a way, or somebody's going through something, to try to just really sit in their shoes for a little while and I think that a big part of it is just allowing yourself to feel, like allowing yourself to cry. Like, it's impossible for me to sit through this and have a conversation about something that is so meaningful to me and has also led to so much growth, and not have moments where I just like want to fucking cry, right? I've already held back tears a couple of times, and I shouldn't be holding back, right? And I shouldn't be holding back. I mean,
I
that's
was
that
crying
part
yesterday because we were talking about dogs, and my guest wasn't crying, but I was crying.
Yeah, good. That's good. Yeah, I think just allowing yourself to feel. We've been taught so much to.
Yeah, especially in England. I come from Great Britain, and it's definitely you're taught the stiff upper lip, and mostly people go and drink to sort of like. I mean, it's not all that, but there's some. I'm older, so when I was growing up, I'm sure it's changed now. You had to sweep a lot under the rug.
Yeah, it has. You know what? It has changed a lot.
Yes,
I see young people. So often, they're so much better at expressing themselves and being vulnerable than my generation was. It's easy to kind of poo-poo on the younger generation, right? And there's a lot of things that they're getting wrong, just like my generation got wrong. But there's a lot of things that they're getting right, and they're getting more right. But on average, younger generation generally gets more things right than we got right, and they're getting a few more things right. One of them is their ability to be able to express themselves.
Yeah.
The awareness around like mental health is something that is really, really wonderful about the younger generation, where they realize that health isn't just about your physical, and it's great.
I wanted to say that my musical journey started a little like yours. My music mentor was Jim Scott, and he recorded people like the Chili Peppers, the Dixie Chicks, Johnny Cash. And so in my 20s, I was having a hard time getting into music, but Jim really took me and my sister under his wing, and it was like, sit down, shut up, listen, learn. And we'd watch all these amazing bands being recorded. Cool. It was like such a treat.
Yeah, no kidding, yeah.
Like a deep. What was your childhood like? Can I ask you that?
Yeah, it's fine. It was.
That's how I usually start the interview.
Yeah. It was fine. I mean, it's uniquely my own. It was my own experiences. It's hard to compare it to what other people's experiences were like. I remember with regard to music, I remember doing like a demo one time for a song that my mom and somebody else had written. So I remember being in the studio singing into the mic, kind of doing this demo. I'm Too Young is what it was called, or a version of that. I'm too young to be in love, caught between a child and a man. It was, and I was
Did
like
you
a
feel
little
like
kid.
that you had to be both?
No, I didn't. At
Man.
the time, I was so young. I wasn't even wrapping my head around the meaning of the lyrics. I was just kind of trying to hit the notes. But it went well. And I remember doing like, I don't know if it was that song or another song, but I performed. It must have been when I was 6th grade or younger, 5th or 6th grade. I remember performing at the school, like singing a song. But I think that when you and still this happens, you get up on stage and you're that's a place where it's really hard to kind of like push down your representative, right? Like it's like when we meet people, we're almost always meeting their representative, not really
Yeah.
who they are. We don't start off every meeting with, "Hi, how are you? I'm a little sad today. You want to tell me about how
Yeah.
it's like." We're just
It would be
we're our
nice,
names
right?
and we're all that stuff, right? Well, it would be, and it's okay. I mean, for protection, and it's a big world. It's okay to just kind of live as a representative or exist in certain
Representative. We
ways.
probably go a little back and forth, right?
But for sure, when I think about it, like when I was a kid, you get
And
up
you're
on
an
stage.
older brother, right?
I am.
Yeah, so I'm an older sister, so one always feels like they've got to
Yeah.
be a bit of a representative.
Yeah,
The whole
that's
family,
true.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember singing when I was a kid, and then I also had this thing, like it's funny because this is the same location. This is a memory that's popping up where it was on like the soccer field or the playing field. We also had sporting stuff on that same field where I performed, and I set the record for the long jump there, like the school record for the long jump, right? And the whole class was like cheering me on. And then we run over to the high jump, and where it's like a whole mass of kids because they're all like, "We're gonna watch Jenner do the thing." So I always also had this expectation that I was supposed to be an athlete because that's what my dad was, and that's what all the other kids thought, right? I mean, it's only now that I'm in my 40s that people are like, "Yeah, you're not destined to be a professional athlete anymore," right? But that's always been like the expectation. So it was kind of like, you really do get defined when you're young as to like who people think that you should be, right? And for me, it was like so obvious. There was like so much pressure that, well, your dad won the gold, right? Like your dad's the best athlete ever.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to just be genetically inclined to be able to do all that stuff. And I still think to this day, like the reason why, like I was probably, slightly more athletic maybe than other kids, but like part of the reason why I jumped further was just because I needed to.
Right.
I had to.
Because you were
Yeah.
most generous.
All the other kids were going out there and like, yeah, I mean, I can do whatever, I'll go and try, sure. But like, I was like, I have to do this. Like
It's like flying long jump, isn't it? Because I used to do
I
long
guess,
jumping. I kind of
I'm
thought it
sure
was
I
cool.
thought I was jumping really far back then. It was probably halfway across
So
this
you
room.
felt a lot of that pressure and
Yeah, even when I carried that even into college where, my sports weren't, the Olympics, right? Where it wasn't the decathlon, but it was like snowboarding and motocross and
so you
skating
always
and all
had
that
that
stuff.
internal, I've got to,
Yeah.
that's the pressure
I
of
mean, when I
having a
went to
famous
college, I was
parent,
going
right?
there to like snowboard and ride my dirt bike, like just obsessively because those are the two sports that I really wanted to focus on. And then I was like, I'm going to do summers where I'm really kicking ass on the motorcycle and then winters where I'm really kicking ass on the snowboard. And, was like, I mean, I did like 150 days in the snow, skiing, snowboarding in the park, a few years in a row. And I tore my ACL riding dirt bikes. So I had that surgery and I was just like, you know what? And I just kind of started playing guitar. It was the first real instrument that I got into. And I just became obsessed with the guitar and felt like I had to make up for lost time because I was starting at 19 or whatever, And so I just dove in fully and started writing
It feels
songs.
like that's something you've always done in your life, just throw yourself 120%.
I guess. See, right now it's parenting. That's my big thing that I'm kind of throwing myself maybe over the mark too, I mean, that's part of my work right now is like what the healthy balance is.
Well, my therapist said to me a free person who cares as opposed to a caretaker. You're free, but you care, as opposed to defining yourself as a caretaker, because I think I've done that at times.
I have to. Will you write those two down on that piece of paper? And
Sure, right.
Because, no, it's great.
I think that's what she said, a free person who cares as opposed to a caretaker.
Well, it's great. You can kill yourself taking care of other people.
Balance, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And also then you have more to give, right? Because if you feel, kind of in your bliss, we shine brighter, and people, I'm a big believer in Joseph Campbell's idea of if you follow your bliss, you become a beacon of light. If you become a beacon of light, you light the room, pathway for others. I really feel like a happy life is following your passions. So it is a sensitive balancing act, right? When you have a family and
it's very, very hard, really. I mean, it's tough.
Right, because your kids constantly love and adore you and want attention, but at the same time, you're a producer, you're a songwriter.
Yeah, I've been able to lately justify taking a break from my own ambitions to just be like, I'm going to be a parent. It's just still really hard, even without balancing that. Just being a parent has been really challenging for a whole bunch of reasons. But I would say that, like, one of the biggest reasons, and this is that my life has been in so many ways with regard to time and like choosing what I want to do has been so easy. It's been like so free of kind of like responsibilities in a way, right? So, that like my norm, my baseline is like, yeah, I can take care of myself. I can kind of like do these things on my own. I can kind of like treat the day as I want to treat the day, not as I have to treat the day. And so with kids, it's just, it really flips it upside down.
How does your morning begin?
I just get handed the baby, because my wife's been up with the baby. So I get handed the baby, and I'm like, my neck has been all messed up. So I'm like trying to hold her the right way so I don't screw myself up.
Does she cry during the night?
No, she's really a sweet baby. She does a little bit. And then the big kids wake up, and I'm pretty good about in the mornings going and getting my workouts in, which has been really nice. And I do a lot of stuff on my own. I do. I heard recently, which is a great way of explaining kind of kids when they're young. You'll never have a time in your life where somebody is more invested in having a relationship with you as when your kids are young. And so when your kids are young, they're just like, their dad is the coolest thing ever, and all my kid wants to do is like play. This morning before I came here, he's like, Dad, will you play the game with us where they're hiding a water bottle and doing the hot and cold game? And he and the au pair were playing, and I was like, buddy, I would, but I've got to go see Zoe.
Great.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Happy to do it. So it's like that balance, right? Of like showing up, knowing that this is the time in my life that is so incredibly important, but then also kind of showing them, hey, Dad's got shit to do. Dad's out there doing stuff, So it's this balance of like, kind of modeling good ambition for my kids and like what responsibility looks like. And then also just like showing up for them and making sure that when you're with them, you're really present. So that balance is has been a real tough thing in my life. I'm doing an okay job at it, but I would say that my nature is more sacrifice a lot of things about myself, right? Kill myself, taking care of others, kind of a thing.
So you have to balance a little bit the other way.
Yeah.
I haven't been a parent, but I did sort of raise my sister on the road when, singing rock and stuff, because we left home very early and had this amazing adventure to America, lived in a cave in the desert, wrote our first album, and I'm a poodle mom, and but I've never had children, and that does sound like super intense, and I'm sure like a lot of stuff must come up that you have to work through, and
of course,
and just like
that's a big thing. Stuff comes up.
Yeah. I mean, it's complex enough being in a relationship, but then you have children, and I'm sure that's also a constant balance. You have like the most beautiful wife, and I heard somewhere you take time to do date nights and things.
We try, yeah, we try, and we also know that we're in this very specific time in our lives where we've been. It's an interesting hand to be dealt. I love it, but having twin boys is a real challenge.
Yes, I imagine.
Twin boys has been a real challenge. It's like they really push. They're testing everything around them all the time, and that can be a real a real
I mean, do you relate? Did you go through periods of your life
well,
where
my
you were
brother
testing?
and I were pretty wild when we were
You?
kids, but we
You're
were
a
also
reformed
2.5.
bad boy, are
You know,
you?
we're two. Yeah, we're a little over 2 years apart.
Yeah.
So it's when one kid's 5, the other one's 3. It's
Yeah.
like you're getting in trouble together, but not really. It's like there's that built-in dynamic. Like my boys are, it's a pretty. There's a thing for it, twin escalation syndrome, TES. When a guy first told me about it, I felt like a big weight off. I was like, oh my God, there's a word for this. Thank God.
So
They
what are
just,
your
like,
what are
fire
your top
each other
tips
up.
to other fathers?
Of twin boys.
Yeah, what are you?
There's not a lot out there. It's a small group, but we should all get together and talk.
Yeah, maybe
if there's any out there
that should
wanna
be the
chat,
podcast.
Please hit
the
me
twin,
up. I'm happy to help.
a support group, right?
There's a few that I know. Yeah, there's a couple that I know that are, and it's wow. What are the top tips? Well, simple things like don't tell them which one's older. Never tell them. Never or older, right? It's like which one was born first. They're the same age. But that's a real interesting dynamic that like gets baked in very early. So many people go, "Oh, who's older?" to twins, right? They look at them and, "Oh, he is," that kind of thing. So like
Because
we've
that
just
makes them
conveniently
sort of,
forgotten. Yeah, it creates a dynamic of like, well, he's older.
He's the
There's like
boss.
a advanced. He's the advanced one, or
Right,
he's the
yeah.
boss, or he's the whatever, right? Or I am. It's like it's just so unnecessary. It's like just so unnecessary. They were born on the same day, and so that's one. In my case, I had a daughter first. So my daughter, she is like, it's just girl energy, man. She's just so sweet. And like you ask her not to do, hey, honey, please don't go into this cabinet because this is where we put all the sharp stuff. So that's why it's a lock on it. So don't mess with it. Okay. She's just like, she actually has some reasoning ability, right? The boys they just don't. Like they're just absolutely wild. And there's almost like with girls, little girls, like kids kind of have to like bump up against something, right? Like they push and they wonder like, okay, where's the boundary on this? Where's the boundary on that? What girls are looking for a boundary is like more emotional and intellectual. So it's like, oh, this is why you don't want me to do this because of this information, or like, I'm feeling this way. And so I need somebody to just kind of like be with me and like, hey, I'll be with you. There's like these emotional and intellectual boundaries. With boys, it's like physical. Like they literally, if there isn't somebody that is bigger than them in the house that can pick them up and say, nope, we're doing it. We're going in the car. We're getting in the bath. We're doing whatever. You're going in your bed. If they don't have somebody that's like bigger than them, they could be very easily labeled as like very disobedient, wild. Which disobedience is okay, but like
I've heard that actually.
but chaotic.
I do know. In our family, we have someone with twins, and their mum does talk about this.
Yeah,
that it's pretty wild.
Yeah, and dad is so important for the
Right,
boys. Like
right.
I feel that so much. I mean, there are some studies around kids that have grown up and whether or not a boy has a dad or a male figure in their life matters a lot and determines outcome. With girls, it doesn't matter that much. There's really not that much variation.
You had
between
two
whether or
dads,
not.
right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had in
a way, a stepdad and a
my stepdad was like very much more involved day to day, and then my dad, who I have a really great relationship now with.
I read in that lovely essay you wrote. He was just a dad to me. That you felt that your dad is really. You feel like he's very present with you at this point, and really very loving.
Yeah, well, it's changed a lot too. I'm very proud of the growth that my dad has gone through, right? Because there's a
huge, right?
Yeah, I think that when you're living for 64 years or 65 years, and not really like revealing a very big part of yourself, and then all of a sudden you reveal that, it's kind of the beginning to being able to invite a little bit more vulnerability into your life, and that's how we connect with people, right? Is through vulnerability. So, I think that.
Do you think when he got comfortable with himself, he was able to be comfortable
For sure.
with you?
Yes.
That's what it sounded like in the essay you wrote.
Oh, I saw it right away.
Yeah.
It was crazy, like right away. As soon as she expressed, to me what she was going through and what she was going to do, and like basically came out as like, I'm transgender. Like I've, like her whole demeanor changed. She just became like, her shoulders dropped. She was able to just like, her body expressions.
Relax.
Yeah, it was like very apparent, very clear right off the bat. And it was wonderful. It was like, great, thank you. Like, this is who I would like to be around, is somebody that just feels more comfortable and relaxed and more themselves.
Did it make sense to you? More sense?
Yeah, it makes more sense.
Yeah. I think that's wonderful. And really, she couldn't have asked for a more perfect son because you are so open and accepting. I imagine there'd be a lot of people that would be very shocked, but I somehow feel like you would be really so loving about that. You know?
I appreciate it. It's I do respond to quotes. I requote a lot of people all the time, and I think it was Krishnamurti said that the highest form of intelligence is observation without judgment.
I was out in Two Bunch with your mum, and we were chatting quite intimately. I think one thing, and I don't know if she would mind me saying this or not, but I remember her saying that when she realized that her husband wanted to become a woman, she used to drive up and down the PCH, wondering how she was going to tell you boys.
Mm-hmm.
So that was probably a weight off her shoulders as well. She's so wonderful, your mom.
You know, my mom is from Tennessee. Like, she grew up in Memphis. It's like a very different kind of, upbringing from what I, grew up. So there was like more kind of traditional, if you can call it, that thinking, I would say. So I think she always felt like it was something that she wanted to kind of protect us from that information rather than, you know. And my approach has been like so different with my kids. Like, they're just like, oh yeah, cool, okay.
Different generation.
Yeah, definitely. That's Boom Boom when Boom Boom was doing the decathlon, and it was like this, strong, handsome, man looking thing. And now this is your Boom Boom that and I really try to give my kids a lot of information because I think they're a lot smarter than we think.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
And I don't know what my life would have been like or how I would have digested that information in the 80s, right? Or in the 90s.
Things are much more open now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Much more.
And I just want my kids to, like, when it comes to information about the world, I want them to have a good understanding of it, and I never want to, it's like stuff like a good example is like the Rainbow Bridge that, like, when our dog died, and it's like, people are like, oh, read the Rainbow Bridge. I'm like, I'm not going to read the Rainbow Bridge. Like, I'm not going to tell my kids that this is where the dog ran over a bridge and went to some place. I was like, we don't know that's the truth. So I'm not going to give them a book about this. My answer was, kids, we don't know. Like, some people believe in the Rainbow Bridge. Some people believe that it just goes black. Like, we don't know. But what we do know is that.
Do you believe in God? Do you believe in the universe, love?
I'm very agnostic.
Right.
I have no idea.
You have no
and
idea.
I don't even want to pretend like I know.
Do you feel spirits, ancestors, angels?
I do. And I've had my own experiences with things like that.
Because you seem like someone who would be very connected to the unseen realms.
Yeah. I'm very open to the possibility that there's more than just this existence. And I love science. I love cosmology. Like, I do like to, even though I am, generally pretty agnostic, like, there was an article recently that I saw where there was some more evidence that that backed up the theory that we're in our universe and our existence is on the inside of a black hole. And it made so much sense to me with all of the studying that I've done and, like, my whole life's kind of like journey of paying attention to this stuff. I was like, this really makes sense. And so I love that. So that was like an opportunity to kind of like do a little bit of a dive into how the new evidence kind of like correlates to that theory. And I like finding answers. It's not like just because I generally live with the principle of I don't know doesn't mean that I don't like finding answers. I do, very much so.
I have that, and I related to that, learning that about you. I always need to know why people are the way they are. But I think with me, it's a bit about staying hypervigilant because my father was a drinker and things could really blow up. And so I always want to know if I'm, like, safe with. Do you think there's some aspect or do you think it's just curiosity for you? You're just really curious that you want to know.
I think just curious.
Yeah.
I think that there is, like, I do have a curiosity that, like, when I was young, I hated history. Like, I just hated learning about history in high school or whatever. I was like, and now I'm obsessed, Like, I love.
Which periods of time are predominant for you?
Lately, a big part of it has been, like, World War II, the rise of, like, Nazi Germany is pretty interesting. Hitler's rise and the length of time that it took and kind of like what norms had to be broken in order for that kind of a crazy thing to happen.
Is it because you're seeing parallels or you?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, I think that, and I don't know if that's just because we're being fed that. I just think it's naive for us to think that that history can't repeat itself or at least rhyme in certain ways, right?
Yes, of course.
So I think that there has been this kind of like uh, flirting with authoritarianism around the world kind of idea. Like there's been a little bit more openness to, oh, is this a better system? You know? And that's it. So I just kind of see that kind of like that's an interesting path to be taking around the world, I think. You know?
Complex times in the world, right? I sort of go with the idea that the revolution is happiness, and Joseph Campbell's idea of like following your bliss, you become a beacon, and then just in your small part of the world, you can.
Yeah, and there's, you know, we tend to focus on the negative.
I mean, think when you sing a song, like I've seen you sing at Composers Breakfast at different places, you light up that room and everybody is so happy, and that shifts the energy in such a big way. So I really feel like people are following their bliss.
We should also be really proud of ourselves as human beings that we've gotten to the place over the last like 50 years that we've gotten to. I mean, since World War II, because we've like decimated the numbers when it comes to like child poverty, starvation around the world. Like we've really done we've accomplished so much on a global scale to make the world a better place and to like kind of lift up the, you know, the bottom tier to like a, you know, more of a livable kind of a thing.
I mean that's wonderful to hear you say, and we have to remember that because there's so much.
We've done so much. Like the world is so much more peaceful today than it has ever been, right?
Yeah, because a lot of people would not say that, but
no, and obviously we have these like flare-ups, but generally speaking, I have this thing where I believe that almost everything moves in a very specific way. There's like patterns, you know, throughout the universe, which is kind of cool.
That's going back to the scientific and the...
Yeah, it's like the pattern of the tree, you know, like where you kind of have like the pattern of the tree like exists everywhere, right? Like our veins, like you see it the way our arteries go into our veins, and then you see it in leaves. You even see it in the way like things travel. Like if you were to watch, like I think I saw the first time I ever was privy to this, it was the article also said if you watch like the way a basketball travels on a basketball court, you track it, it's like that's the basically path it's taking, right? It goes from the hoop and then all up. So it's like the way things are in motion is the case. There's so many examples. It's all around us. But another kind of pattern that's like so prevalent is what the stock market chart looks like, you know?
Wow.
It's like these dips and valleys and very random. When you zoom in, it looks chaotic. When you zoom out, it looks more or less like a straight line in one direction. And I think a lot of things are like that. Like for instance, if you were to chart what child poverty looks like around the world, you know, we have diminished it a lot, or I guess it'd be traveling down, but you know, you have peaks and valleys. You have moments where we digress. You have moments where we advance big time forward. You know, if you look at technological innovation, I mean, all those things, they all look like stock charts. They all look like this kind of graph that is generally moving in the right direction, but there are moments of oversteer in positive and negative that exist.
I mean, there's that thing in music that's slightly mathematical in a way, isn't it? I've always been with men who are quite mathematical. My ex was on Wall Street, and he was a brilliant gambler on Wall Street, talking about the stock. And there was something, although was really bad in class at maths, terrible, remedial probably, there was something about our intuitive mathematical minds that kind of matched. And they say that music has this mathematical element to it.
For sure. Yeah. There's I've seen some cool videos on like math and geometry, like how they're, the harmonies, create certain shapes and this and that. Yeah. Yeah. Our world is pretty mathematical.
What is it about astronomy that you really love?
It's the closest thing. It's the closest field that I know of that's answering the question of why we're here, right?
Why do you think we are?
Why are we here?
Yeah. Why are we here?
My answer is I have no idea, but I will say what I kind of like believe, right? I believe that it is possible that this whole thing has been created for us.
Right.
I think that is possible. Like we're always thinking, oh, well, if you run the numbers, the math, there's got to be intelligent civilizations out there. Maybe. But if you also run the math on how crazy it is that we are here, going back to that pattern of the tree pattern, right? You can draw all life back to kind of one single cell organism or the spawn of life, of which all these branches have branched off. Well, on that tree of life that we're looking at, on this planet that has existed on this planet. Like we are in the tiniest little corner over here, right? Like this little tiny branch of the thousands or millions of branches that exist. And there's this one little thing, and that's animals. It's so crazy that we evolved to be intelligent or to be
it is
self-aware
totally crazy
on this planet.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane.
It is. I don't know so much about this stuff, but hearing you talk about it is so beautiful. There's
awesome.
something so spacious. So, I'm a natural adventurer. I love it.
And
it sounds fun to go into the black.
And what's just as incredible as all those vast, crazy numbers and distances that we're talking about is my inability to understand. My inability to understand all of this is so infinitesimal. It would be so arrogant of me to think that I have any answers to what happens after we die.
But isn't it a lovely thing to adventure into it?
It is.
And maybe there's a need to do that because, the planet has become so condensed, such huge population numbers. There's, less and less space. But, the idea that we can journey somewhere, where we don't know everything, the great mystery, the Native Americans say great mystery. A big part of the Native American spirituality, let's just say from the two Cherokee women I learned, was to give things to great mystery. We need to feel small. I remember once I traveled around the Himalayas for 3 months, and one of the most liberating experiences I've ever had was coming down from Bhutan back to India and seeing the vastness of the Himalayas and feeling like a speck of dust.
I've been to the Himalayas, which it's unbelievable.
You have, huh?
Oh yeah, it's unbelievable when you see a mountain range on that scale. You're like, wow, I had no idea.
Have you driven across the Tibetan plateau up to Ladakh or no?
No, I haven't been to Tibet. I just did like a adventure through Nepal. I was in Nepal and
Nepal's beautiful.
But then there's this other thing there. If you could take so you've been to the Himalayas and you know how vast and massive they are. If you could take the Earth and shrink it down to the size of a tennis ball, right? It would be smoother than any pool ball has ever been manufactured.
Wow.
Yeah. If you could, it would be the most smooth cue ball that humanity has ever made.
Wow.
If you could shrink the Earth down to that size. So you think you're standing next to these huge, big mountains, right? Well, you are from our point of view, but as it is relative to the size of the Earth, it wouldn't even be something that you even notice on a cue ball. Not even close.
That's something amazing to actually think about because, like you said, that's not how I perceive the Earth.
No.
Which parts of the Earth have you not traveled to that you want to travel to? Are there places you'd really like to go and see?
Yeah, lots
or
of
do you
places.
want to be one of the first people to go up to space with this?
No, I don't really have that much of an interest in that now. I do think, though, that humanity should be a lot more bold in their quest to being space-faring species. I think that there's a lot of people out there that are willing to sacrifice themselves and like their own health in the pursuit of human exploration. You know, I mean, our history is full of it. You know, going across the damn oceans and coming back with 10% of the men that you started with, and women, mostly men back then, that you started with in the pursuit of exploration. You know, I just think that we play it pretty safe.
You do.
You know, I do. And that's fine.
How do you think we should be bolder?
Well, that's one of the things that I think is really cool about the privatization of space exploration has been really cool because you're giving people the ability to take more risk.
Do you believe in aliens?
I don't know.
You might be a Pleiadian. Have you heard of the Pleiades?
No.
That I was taught about the Pleiadians by this medicine woman, and she would say that I was a Pleiadian. And they say that a lot of artists are Pleiadians. They're the lovers, they're the artists, they're the creatives, and they come from this star called the Pleiades.
Oh wow!
So I mean, I can really go along with things like that. I've done a lot of journeying with my Native American teachers and journeyed into like other realms. They're amazing at shifting your consciousness using absolutely zero drugs, just ceremony and their own. I've never experienced anything quite like those healers.
Cool.
And one of my teachers taught me about how they believe everybody is surrounded by a circle of animals. And these animals are like their protectors, their totems, and they give their gifts to each person. And one of my animals was the jaguar. One day I journeyed for 3 days. And I was actually quite freaked out afterwards because I'm like, British super whitey. I know I didn't take any drugs. But no, I did. I journeyed for 3 days with the spirit of the Jaguar women. And I remember saying, I was like, I could feel them. And I was rehearsing a band at the time. I could feel the energy all around. It was like someone had given me LSD. It was an amazing experience. Cool. So I really enjoy like exploring other realms.
So you believe in aliens is what you're saying?
I actually haven't had an experience of aliens. But I have had lots of experiences of connecting with my ancestors who have passed on and with spirit guides. And I work with them actively every day. I've had that experience, but the aliens haven't been revealed to me yet.
And I would assume that then for you, believing in angels, for instance, like you have what is to you extraordinary evidence pointing that is true, right?
Yeah, I mean, every time, I don't think angels like being unemployed. So every time I give them something to work with, I lighten up and they just get busy.
Wow.
It's amazing.
What kind of things do you give them?
Everything, really, whether it's protecting home and family, whether there's some energy that is toxic that needs, I give them that. I think it's all about the surrender and the giving it up to something bigger, higher, the black hole, love, the universe, the angels. It really works for me. And you could probably explain it on a scientific quantum physics realm, that when you give away your problems to something bigger. I follow the laws of attraction a lot. And so there's the imagining of something in your soul. Then there's the giving it up to the universe.
Right.
And then there's the openness to receiving it.
Yeah, you might really benefit then from like looking into more like cosmological stuff and astronomy, because I think that's one of the things that I love about it is that it's that surrender. It's like it's that realization about how small we are and how insignificant we are. And just like the yin and yang, like how there's tragedy and beauty, the insignificance that we get from realizing like how unimportant we are in the universe also gives so much agency to us to like be better, to do the best you can with this one little insignificant like flash spark that we have, which we call a life. So I think for me, it's like I find so much like comfort and surrender in understanding how insignificant we are as a species and how insignificant I am.
That seems to be the really important aspect that, we struggle with something. Our ego turns it around. We think we're going to figure it out. We think we're going to work it out. And that's just us. There's not the divine intelligence of the universe. Going back to our original conversation at the beginning when you were saying, we all have ways, we all have addictions and we have ways of coping. I think with things like, my father was alcoholic. I haven't done much AA but because I didn't ever drink, but I have been to Al-Anon. And I think one of the initial things is to give it over to God and also to ask for help.
Did you find that helpful, Al-Anon?
I did. I haven't done a whole load of it.
Yeah.
My pathway has been much more therapy, and I have worked for the last 3 or 4 years with an amazing Jungian therapist.
Kind of owe it to the world to like do that work.
I really think so.
You owe it to your family.
Because I think there's a balance of dark and light on the planet.
But could you define those things?
Well, I think when I say light and dark, like negative emotions like hatred, anger, toxic emotions, wars, shadow stuff, like greed, murder. So there's the dark, the negative, and then there's light, there's joy, there's love, there's compassion, there's generosity, there's sharing, there's caring, there's connection.
Do you believe that there's like a driving force behind the good and the light and all that stuff?
I do. So I think better to be part of that team, and work on that side. I went through when I was singing rock and writing rock, I went through my years of angst and anger. I think I was a much more angry person. And I'm experimenting with the lighter colors at this point in my life, with joy, with love, with compassion. I did just write a song, actually. It's called You Feel Like Summer. with a beautiful Brazilian bossa nova
Mm.
artist.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah.
Music is just it's an expression of like who we are, you know? It's like if we work on ourselves, then our songwriting gets kind of like more, it's not about even being better, right? It's not like I think so many of us just kind of put, and I do too, right? It's like, oh, I want to write a good song. That is like the biggest oxymoron ever, right? Like that should
Right.
not
What is a
be
good
our
song? Yeah.
goal. It's like our goal is to like just express ourselves fully. And when you do that, people respond.
I think I really suffered with that, especially in the years I was living in Hollywood, that feeling like you're supposed to compete. I always wanted to be like Sheryl Crow.
Right.
And I really should have put more focus on wanting to be like Zoe Scott. So, you know.
Right. Well, yeah, a great A&R guy said this to me a long time ago. He said, I used to think that paying your dues was getting in a van and driving around the country and like sleeping on the back seat of the van and all that stuff. He goes, it took me a long time to realize that what paying your dues is figuring out what's unique about you and expanding upon that.
Right.
Part of the reason why I decided to make music and to do it when I was in college is because I saw the beauty in what it was. I said there were so many people that were changing their majors in the dorm. They're like, oh, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be this. And then they're like, no, I decided I'm going to change. I want to be a journalist. I want to be something else. I was like, okay, so what if I choose what I want to do now and work really hard on it? I'm getting a head start, you know, whatever it is, right? Whatever career it is that I want. And when I looked at the choices for me, I was like, wait a minute, music. Like you can say, if you have 3 minutes and through a song to say whatever you want to say, and you can really make a difference. Not necessarily, I mean, I do believe that if Bob Dylan and Bob Marley and John Lennon, among many others, had not existed, the world would be a very different place. You know, like how different would the world be if the song Imagine was never written? Well, different. Yeah, it's made a difference. For me, I never want to like put like a put a label on that, but like I do know that it's helped people get through the night or processed emotions or process the loss of somebody or whatever, that a song that I've written. And that is like profound. Like that's, in my opinion, like far more than any of the other choices that I had at my doorstep when I was in college looking at, well, how do I want to spend my life and my life's energy?
You're a light worker.
Huh?
A light worker, healer.
Maybe. I heard something recently. I thought it was really cool. I've always thought that if I were told that I had a month to live or 2 months or whatever, right, that you would spend it with people that you love the most. You would tell those people how much you love them. All you would want is like the relationship part of life, right? And there was a guy that has spent a lot of time with people that were terminally ill. And he said, he goes, it's actually not totally true. He says, when people are confronted with the end of their life, it's in that moment that they will spend 20 minutes watching the steam rise off of their tea, lost. They get to a place where they just become very observant. They're not talking a lot. They're not expressing themselves a lot. They're just, they become witness to the world in a way, in a very kind of like.
They're in the ultimate, maybe surrender.
Yeah. And also they see everything as, this is my last opportunity to see this, and they also see the beauty in things, the beauty in the simple things, which I think is so cool. That's been a really good thing for me lately, is to realize that, like, while our relationships are important, and of course, and we love our, there's also like when you're really confronted with our insignificance or our
what
end.
is it?
Yeah. What are the things that we would really grasp onto, and what would we really then value? And a lot of it is just stillness and observation and witnessing things and seeing the beauty and stuff. And you go back to the thing where you would probably spend 20 minutes just petting your dog, looking at your dog in awe of, look at this incredible creature. And so I think it's been helpful for me to just kind of slow down a bit and get more in that state of relax, because otherwise we're always, when we're stressed, when we're constantly, we got our to-do list, we're doing this, we're doing that. And there's not a lot of moments these days for people to just kind of sit and be.
You're a big meditator, right? Are you a meditator?
I love meditation. I've definitely had a lot of aha moments while meditating, meaning that, I've been able to separate myself from my brain, from my thoughts, right? And like recognize that that's not who I am, and how, and meditation has helped me get through specific chapters in my life big time. But I don't have a real consistent practice. That's another thing that I need to change, is like to be more consistent about it. But I love meditation, and I think it's a very powerful thing. And I should I should be implementing it in my life, not when I need it, but just
all the time.
because
I'm not consistent either. I'm a little bit undisciplined about meditation, but when you describe the observer state, I feel like if one did a lot of meditation, one would get to that space on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. You were talking about Mother Nature, and I've always felt that I wish that everybody could experience what it feels like to be scared in the ocean a little bit.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, it's so, I like kind of in a weird way, like I seek it out now a little bit, not to the point where I'm like really terrified, but I love the feeling of being in surf that makes you uncomfortable, and sometimes getting caught inside, and having like there's moments that you'll have in your life, like a normal person's life that somebody doesn't surf, where like somebody will pull out in front of them on the highway and they're like, oh my God, that was scary. Like these flash moments where you're like, oh my life flashed before my eyes. But there's been times, and it's the case where when you're in the ocean, sometimes you'll go for a couple minutes or more even thinking like this is the end. And there's something that's so like humbling about it. You get out, you make it out, and boy, it puts things in perspective in your life. It's
because
just
you get to that near death edge.
Yeah, I mean it's and I don't even think it's necessarily near death. I think that our fear is far outpacing where our actual threshold is for where I would drown. I think that our fear is way. So I don't think that I'm like we're that
you're a
near
long
death.
way off.
I think there's still a long way off. It's just scary. You just think that it, there's been times. My brother had a time that was, where that kind of gap got a little bit closer, and I think he got really, pretty freaked out actually. But it's just a really humbling thing, and it goes back to that, Mother Nature and feeling insignificant and surrender and realizing that like we don't have as much control as we thought, and also like how lucky we are to just be breathing. We're so lucky. We're so lucky. Think about my kids, like when they look at me and they're like, Dad, will you jump on the trampoline with us? And there's so often where I'm like, hey buddy, I'm going and I'm fixing this plumbing issue at the house or whatever,
The innocence and trust is so...
It's amazing.
It's so amazing, isn't it?
There was another thing that you said about service. There was this woman that it was a friend of mine's mom, and she wrote a letter before she passed, and she said that in the letter, it was really beautifully written, and at one point she says, I wouldn't really change much in my life. It's been so wonderful, save one, that I would have figured out how to be of service to others more in my life, because I do believe it's the only thing that brings us true joy.
Yeah.
And I hope that one day I can get to that place, and I should. Maybe I just make excuses because of timing and this and that, but I really look forward to real tactile service, where you can really feel it, where you're really putting in your energy in the benefit of somebody else's life. Right now I'm doing it so intensely with my kids, right?
You don't feel like you have a lot more.
I don't.
Yeah.
But it's something that I really look forward to.
Like sometimes we take our greatest talents, the things that are just very natural to us, for granted. Don't you think you do that when you sing?
Yeah, I do, but it's also I'm also doing it as a reward to myself. Like it also feels good. It's like I write songs because I want to write songs, because it's a therapeutic for me. It's just like a happy accident that it in turn helps other people. Like, I mean, I love it. I love that it does that, but that's not really like it's not generally why. Like the why is because like I kind of have to. Like I really want to write this. It feels amazing when I'm doing it, and it's very therapeutic, and it feels like a weight off.
It's so
it is
enlivening,
process.
though. The day you played, I came away from there and I felt so alive and enlivened by hearing your
Well,
songs.
and that's the wonderful thing. That's why I feel like what I'm doing sometimes it completes this kind of circle of gratitude, where it's like I'm really grateful for the music that other people had written that helped me get through difficult times. And then, down the road, now here I am writing music that I know helps other people get through, challenges. And it just completes this kind of like circle of appreciation for music itself.
You seem like you're doing a lot of service to me, raising kids, what way would you envisage wanting to go deeper into, like you said, they say that the deepest form of joy is to be in service. How
Yeah.
could you see yourself? Do you want to go, I don't know,
I
go
would just
to,
like to travel more. It'd be nice to go to places. I've always, my favorite traveling that I've ever done is going to places where people live very differently than I live here. And I would hope that that's given me some perspective on how unique my situation is growing up in Malibu. I would assume that I would be a very different person had I not gone, and,
right.
to Africa, or go on surf trips to Indonesia, or go to, Japan even we went to. And it's like people just live so differently, Traveled a lot down in Mexico. It's like we live so, we're in such a unique situation here in Malibu. So unique. Just going to places where people live very differently and just doing what you can to like help out, the access to water, housing. It'd be fun to use my construction abilities to be able to go somewhere and spend a couple weeks just like actually providing my, physical
skills.
output. Yeah. I like the idea of like physical, things that are benefiting other people, I think.
When are you at your happiest at this point in your life?
When I'm holding my youngest, playing with her and she's laughing, we're wrestling or my oldest, my daughter, or my boys or riding motorcycles. I'm watching them, all the things that I've enjoyed doing in my life. This is what parenthood is to me, is that all the things that I've enjoyed doing in my life, like, and I've got to do it crazy, right? Like, we'll just use skiing as an example. Like, go on heliboarding trips. Like, I've done amazing stuff, right? My time in the snow has far exceeded what it should be. And I've had great times, incredible. I've never had nearly as much fun as going 2 miles an hour behind my daughter, going like, good job, baby, pizza. Okay, pizza, slow down now. Okay, now go again, French fries, here we go. Okay, good job, baby, look at you, you're turning. It's the best. It's the best thing ever. And though that's for sure the thing that brings me the most joy right now, is just like experiencing the things that I've loved to do and seeing the joy that it's bringing them. That is like, that's the best. My kids are riding motorcycles. They're doing all this stuff,
And does it take you back to a space of innocence and trust in your own childhood?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But that's not what's prevalent for me. I think what's prevalent for me is just the fact that they is just the joy that I know that it's bringing them. Like, I have those memories of being a kid and learning how to do something and how empowering that felt, to being like, now I know how to ski. Now I know how to ride a bike. Now I know how to do this stuff. And to provide that for somebody else and to like assist, and pass the baton and be like, hey, now it's your turn to like go and do this stuff, people to somebody that you love far more than yourself, is a really special thing. So for sure, my kids are the things that bring me the most joy right now.
Thank you so much. What a talk, right?
That was nice. Thanks.
This was brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
How amazing. I love the fact that where we went to was outer space.
Yeah.
I thought we were actually going like more into, the inspiration behind your music, your muses, how it transforms you. And we went to outer space. It was great. I loved it. Go where I said, I'll go wherever you go.
Great.